Curse of the Kichai Shaman. Chapter 7. A Lethal Threat. David was going back to work at Highway 281 on Monday morning, determined to finish the last week of the dig. This time, however, he would protect himself. He woke up just before dawn. He went out and investigated his truck by opening the hood and finding where the air conditioner intake was. He took his GoPro camera and mounted it inside on the dashboard facing the area of the intake, and put it in a bag that he had cut out the bottom of over the mounted camera. He had cut a small hole in the bag so that it could video anyone putting ether on his air conditioner intake. When he got to the parking area outside the dig, he did not take his lunch and drink cooler to the canopy area like usual. He locked it in his truck. He went to the morning meeting and got assigned a unit to dig in. He saw Richard at this meeting. He could not help but stare. He saw Richard look in his direction and then quickly look away. David went to his assigned unit and began to carefully dig. Richard was a few units over, exhuming the bones of the skeleton that David had found on Friday. While David was digging, he would glance over at Richard, and twice when he did this, Richard was staring at him. When Richard would see David looking at him staring, he would look away. David went out to his truck for lunch. He did not eat under the canopy like usual. At the end of the day, David went to the canopy and sat down to log his artifacts. He was paranoid and kept looking out at the parking area. He saw Richard coming from the parking area and going wide around the canopy so as to not be seen. David saw him in quick glances. Richard did not see that David saw him. David finished his report and headed to his truck. He opened both doors, got in and turned the air conditioner off, started the truck, got halfway out, and reached in and turned on the air conditioner to full before quickly exiting the vehicle. David looked at his phone and set a timer for 5 minutes. He would let the truck run for that long until he would try to get back in and drive. While he was waiting, he saw Richard off to the side of the parking area, watching him with a dumbfounded look on his face. David said under his breath, "What are you going to do now?" The timer on David's phone went off, and he got in the truck and sat there a few minutes to see if anything affected him. It did not. He pulled the bag off the GoPro camera and reviewed the last 20 minutes by rapidly advancing the video. He saw that the camera had captured something. He went back a little and saw a hand and part of an arm pour a vial of something into his air conditioner intake. He saw that the arm had tattoos and thought that he could make out the bottom half of a tattoo of Anubis, but the arm was only in the shot for a split second, and when he froze the frame, it was blurry. He had been in his truck in the air conditioning for a few minutes by then and did not feel any adverse effects from the ether. He closed the doors to his truck and headed directly to the physician's hospital to get his blood test results. He went to the receptionist at the hospital and explained why he was there. She asked for his identification, and he showed her his Texas driver's license. She checked it and said she would print the report and type something on her computer, and in about 30 seconds the printer started printing. She handed the report to David and said that the court would have the report the next day when they open at 9 a.m. In the morning, David looked at the report and it said his blood was positive for flunitrazepam. He asked the receptionist what flunitrazepam was, and she told him that the commercial name was Rohypnol. David left and drove to the Anadarko Police Department. He took his GoPro camera and went inside to the front business window and asked the duty officer there if he could speak to Officer Whitehorse. The duty officer said that Officer Whitehorse was on patrol but should be in by 7 p.m. when there was a shift change. David asked if it would be okay if he waited for him. The duty officer said that he could have a seat in the lobby. David waited in the lobby until the shift changed. A few officers started to come into the police station and head to the back. Then Officer Whitehorse came in, and David went up to him. He showed him the video of someone poisoning his truck as he had it queued up to the exact spot where you could see the arm and hand pour a vial of something on his air conditioner intakes. David said he thinks that ether was in the vial. He showed him the report from the hospital. Officer Whitehorse took David to the back offices and introduced him to Detective Moody. Officer Whitehorse told Detective Moody that David thought someone was poisoning him with Rohypnol and ether and that he had a video. Detective Moody took David to his desk and asked to see the video. After he watched it, he asked if he could download it. David said, "Sure." Detective Moody got on his phone and called someone. Then he got on his computer and opened a new report. He asked David what was going on. David told him that he was sure that a guy he was working with on the archaeological dig on Highway 281 was trying to kill him by making him crash his truck. He said his name is Richard Nergal and that he has tattoos on his arms like the arm in the video. David said that he thinks he had spiked his drink with Rohypnol twice now and that the second time he had gotten arrested for operating while intoxicated. Detective Moody typed out all this information. Detective Moody said, "Let me see the video again." David re-queued it up and showed him. Just then, a technician came up to Detective Moody's desk. Detective Moody asked the technician if he could download the video off David's GoPro and if that was okay with David. The man said he could, and David said, "Sure," and the man took the GoPro and left, saying he would have it back when he was finished. Detective Moody said that he could not really see the tattoos well enough to make a positive identification, but to call or come back if anything else happened and update his report. He gave David his business card with his phone number on it. David left the police station and drove back to his hotel. He went the back way, going north on 1st Street, right on Market Street, left on 5th Street, right on Washington Street, right on 7th Street, left on Country Club Road, which was where the Castle Inn was. He decided that he would mount the GoPro to his rearview mirror with a GoPro Jaws Flex mount that he had. Then he could point the camera in the direction that Richard would take to get to his truck. He went inside his room and got his camera bag and took it out to his truck. He tested the jaws of the clamp, and they would attach easily to his rearview mirror, and the flex mount would allow him to point it in any direction. He hoped that this would allow him to capture Richard approaching his truck. He was hungry, so he drove over to the Taco Bell on Peachtree Road and went through the drive-thru and got 6 soft tacos and a soda. He took the food back to his hotel and ate. He turned on the television and looked at it, but his mind was racing and he could not concentrate on the television shows. He was paranoid and under a lot of stress. After a few hours of staring at the television, he tried to sleep. He lay awake for a few more hours before he finally drifted off to sleep. He was digging in his assigned unit when he felt something splashing down on him. He looked over and Richard had a Hudson pump-up sprayer like exterminators use and was spraying him with a chemical. He began to nod off and realized he was spraying him with ether. He stood up to run away, but it was too late. The ether fumes had gotten to him. He fell and passed out. Then someone was shaking him. He opened his eyes and there was a young Native American woman there, and she said, "Try and stay awake so you can be a hero." David woke up from a dream and it was morning. The dream seemed so real that he was shaking at the experience. David got ready for work. He used to love the thought of going to work, but now feelings of dread were creeping in on him. He did not like not knowing what Richard might try next. He went to his truck in the parking lot of the hotel. He had come down about 10 minutes earlier than usual. He opened the doors of his truck. He got in and turned the air conditioner off, started the truck, got out and reached in and turned the air conditioner to full and quickly backed away. He set a timer on his phone and let the truck run for 5 minutes like that just to make sure anything on the intake was cleared out. Only then did he get in and drive to work. He parked in the field that they were supposed to park in. Then he clipped the jaw clamp for his GoPro camera on his rearview mirror like he had tested it and then pointed it toward the canopy area. That way he could capture anybody approaching his truck from the work site. David went to his assigned unit and started to dig. He occasionally saw Richard. He kept his eye on him throughout the day. Finally, he saw Richard look at him. Richard smiled like he was laughing and then looked away quickly. David figured something was up and kept his guard. The workday ended. David logged his findings into one of the laptop computers under the canopy. He went to his truck and quickly got in the cab, grabbed his GoPro camera off the mount on the rearview mirror, and got out again. He was standing there in the field that they park in checking the video when he looked up and saw Richard watching him from a distance. When he saw David look at him again, he smiled and then looked away and went towards his car. David had an uneasy feeling about it all. He did not see anybody approach his truck on the video. But still, he opened the doors and blasted the air conditioner for 5 minutes before he got in his truck to leave. He jaw-clamped the GoPro back on his mirror. While he was doing this, he saw Richard leave the parking area in his Subaru sports car. Richard had death metal music blaring on his car stereo. David got in his truck and started to drive to the hotel. He was driving down Highway 281 and about to come into town when he saw what looked like a black Dodge Challenger with dark tinted windows sitting on the side of the highway. He passed the black car and looked in his rearview mirror and saw it pull on the highway a ways behind him. He was paranoid, so he aimed the GoPro out the back window and hit record. 5 o'clock traffic was heavy, but he could see the black car weaving through the traffic. It was gaining on him, but could not come right up on him because traffic was moderately heavy. Just as the black car was catching him, he turned left on Central Boulevard. His hotel was a ways down the road. Central Boulevard had 4 lanes with 2 lanes in each direction. David was in the right lane, which was clear ahead. There was a white car about 2 car lengths in the left lane in front of him. The black car pulled up beside him, driving in the left lane. David looked over and all the windows were tinted. Suddenly, the passenger window of the black car rolled down, and a person dressed in long black sleeves wearing a face mask with a skull on it was visible. He had on dark sunglasses and produced a Glock-style pistol and pointed it at David. Upon seeing this, David nailed his gas pedal to the floor and began to pass the white car in front of him on the left. There was a gunshot, and David's driver's side window shattered and a shower of glass went all over David. He passed the white car, which forced the black car to fall back, and it got behind him. He came to his hotel. The light was green, so he slowed a little to make the turn and turned onto North Country Club Road. The black car was behind him and was trying to get along his left side again, but David would swerve in front of it when it tried to do this. David was speeding and soon came to Watson Drive and took a left, his tires squealing as he turned fast. He was going down Watson and keeping the black car at bay by swerving first to the right lane and then to the left lane. He saw the guy in black leaning out of the window, but the erratic driving prevented him from aiming. He heard 2 more shots, which had no effect. He went left on 7th Street and then the next right on East Main Street. He wove through the traffic on the 2 lanes of East Main Street and pissed off a green Escalade that rode next to a minivan and blocked the black car from getting through for a while. David sped off, and by the time the black car had pulled back up behind him, he had turned right on North 1st Street. David was in the right lane on North 1st Street, and the black car had a clear lane to the left beside David. Then David hit the brakes and caused the black car to overshoot a little, but he also slowed down. David turned right into the parking lot of the Anadarko Police Station at 201 Northeast 1st Street. The black car slowed down considerably but kept driving and disappeared up Highway 281.